Hey everyone, welcome back to this new episode of the District 3 Minis. My name is Irvin. Today we're actually joined by a friend of the podcast who's actually been on the podcast before, but it's her first time being the first Latina State Rep on our podcast, and that person is Diana Gonzales Worthen. Diana, thank you for joining us today. How are you feeling? How are you doing?
I am feeling great, and it's so wonderful to be here with you again, Irvin.
And like I said, you are the first Latina State Rep in our state's history, and it took a while, not just for you, but just for history, right? For this to happen. How are you feeling about just that label in general after your campaign?
Well, it certainly is something that I never really thought about until it actually happened, because to me it's an awesome responsibility. And when I was I went to the American Heart Association, El Vestido Rojo, right after that Saturday after the election, and I had a lot of women come up to me, and and that was just so wonderful. And I'm there for every woman, I'm there for everyone. But there was a mom who came up to me, and I think it really hit home. And she said, "I have 4 little girls, and you are now their role model. I want them to know that they can do this too, And so it was, when she said that, it's like it takes it to another level. And I definitely, want to be that role model. I'm going to make mistakes, but we learn from our mistakes. It's the first time that I'm doing this. I'll get better, as we go along. But if I can help inspire young women, young girls, and others. I've also had some women who they came up to me and they said, I've been thinking about running. Now I want to run.
There you go.
So if I can help with that, absolutely, because that's what we need. We need to all be there and be, our voices at the table, because that's very, very important. So that representation is so important to good policy, taking care of our community. And you just have to have a passion for it. And there's a lot of people in our community that are that way. They have that passion, but maybe they're just a little timid just yet to step out. And so if I can help them, I definitely want to do that.
And I think, we were talking off air that now they have an example of someone that's been able to accomplish it, that's been able to be in public office. They already had example of people that ran before, right? And one of the things that I was telling you was, I thought that this was the third time, because I said third time's a charm.
Yes.
As to like you finally won the third time. But you told me this was the 4th time you ran, right?
This is the 4th time that I've run.
So it's like persistence of not giving up. Can you talk about that? Like of how that journey has been, because it takes a lot of energy, and to do that 4 times must feel like exhausting in a way.
Yes, it is exhausting. But I think that what helped move me was the need, to have our voices at the table. And so those 4 times happened in 3 different senses, 3 different decades. So
What were the years?
Yeah, 2006. Okay. And I ran in a Democratic primary, and I was beat by Jim House. And he went on to be state representative. And then I ran again in 2012. Okay. And I lost to John Woods, who now we know where he is. Okay, but lost to John Woods, and then by that you mean jail, I think. Yes, but prison. Yes, I was the better candidate. Okay. So anyway, but then we had the 2020 census, and then I was asked by my campaign director and finance director, all of the folks who have been helping me, and I've had some very, very strong and supportive individuals since my first run in 2006 that have been following me, and you can do it, and of course that helps. But when they redid the boundaries during the redistricting, that's when I was called. Okay, Diana, have you noticed? Have you been following the district boundaries? And I said, no, not really. I really haven't, been paying attention to them. Well, it looks like if they go the way they're, what they're considering, we think that you're in the new district, And so I said, really? So my husband and I looked at examples. And yes, absolutely. You know,
Are the district lines right behind you?
yes, I'm very much on the edge. I live.
You're right behind me.
Yeah, I live right behind you. We're neighbors, and so the edge of the district is Sonora Road.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's like that loops around, you know. So that's the edge.
And it's a minority majority district, right?
Yes, it's the first. It's the first Latino majority district. We do have minority majority districts, African American districts in Arkansas, but this is the first Latino majority district
with a good amount of Marshallese folks as well.
Yes, absolutely. Here, those are the two populations that are ethnically, you know, diverse with language diversity as well. So that's in Springdale. But so I thought about it. You know, well, if this is it, so now they draw the district boundaries, and then I had to decide, okay, am I going to do this? And so part of me had always said, kind of the third time is a charm, or 3 strikes you're out. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try this one more time. You know, and if it doesn't happen, then that'll be it, you know, because it does take a lot, as you know, you're a former candidate, you know, a lot of work. And not only that, but, you know, there's a lot that your family has to, you know, there's some sacrifice there as well, you know, with family. They have to understand you may not be here for this and that, you know, or you're going to be over here doing an interview, or you're going to be over here attending an event, or you need to go speak or whatever. And so there's just a lot of time away from home. And so, so you have to, you know, consider that as well. And so I decided, okay, talked to my family. They said, you know, this is something you've been wanting to do now for a while. Go ahead, go for it. You know, we support you. And so I did. I got my campaign manager and helped me with finance as well. And then just got people that had helped me in the past. Of course, they came on board and said, whatever we can do. And that was wonderful. And so having run, now this is the third time during, you know, 2022 election, I felt that I really knew, you know, like, okay, we've done this. This is the third time. We know more, and we're, you know, this should come to pass, okay? And so we really thought we had it. We had it won, and based on all the doors we knocked, based on all of the identified supporters that we had, and then now we're at the watch party, and it doesn't.
always make me nervous.
Yes.
Watch party, like even if I know someone's gonna win, I'm always nervous
of
going to them. I've gone to one of yours. This time around, I went to bed early. I was like, I'm hoping that you win, but then I was also concerned with national politics. So I was like, I think I'm just gonna go to bed. So we ended up going to bed early. But then I was in bed already, and I was like, then I saw that you won, and I'm like, I told Myra, I was like, she won. And like, I was like all happy, and I made a post like right away and stuff like that on social media. But how did you feel that moment when you learned? I think it was a call, right? You got a call from Bobby,
Yes, I got a call from Bobby. But now 2 years before that, this was 2024, but 2022, we thought we had it won and lost by 109 votes. That was the third time. And so even, you know, then I had to decide, okay, is this, you know, do I do this again? And because it was so close and I had a lot of support, we couldn't figure out what happened. And so we went in and we studied the data and realized that a lot of people, mostly Latinos, were new to the voting process, and many of them didn't make it to the polls. So 377 to be exact, identified supporters, majority Latino supporters, did not go vote. So what I wanted to do was find out what happened. And so that's what I did. Those are my first doors that I knocked. And I learned that they didn't know where to go vote. They didn't know how to vote. They just didn't really know the process. And of course, all the ballots are in English, you know, so we had information in both languages, but still, you know, so we tried to. So then it was decision, okay, this was so close, we're going to do it again. And so what we learned, we tried to close those gaps in what we did previously, and then it paid off, you know. So I mean, we were driving people to the polls. We started calling, phone banking. We filed in November. We started phone banking in November. So I mean, everything was just much, much earlier.
It definitely felt like different on election day than it did your last campaign night, because I was canvassing for you, which like the night of for this election, and when I was knocking on doors, the majority of the people that I was speaking to, they were like, "We already went," or "We've already gone to vote," or "We're actually about to go to vote right now." So it was cool to see people. Like, I saw families, like, as I was knocking on their door, they were like, "Oh, we're actually leaving," and everybody was already getting ready in the house to go, and it was like 6 p.m. or 5 p.m.
Wow.
So it felt a little different. I was like, people seem to be more on top of it this time.
Yes.
You know, than last time.
Yes.
I didn't see that. I didn't see the urgency last time.
Right, exactly. And so when I was going and knocking doors, some people, felicidades, sí ganó. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. And so, and they really thought that I had won. So, but there was just a lot to do. And so, yes, we really try to go back to our supporters and let them know we really need your help. And so we made lots of phone calls. We went, I saw a lot of my constituents twice, knock their doors twice from November to November, so that's what it took. And of course I had lots of help from, different, young Democrats and just friends, people who.
I saw a bunch of signs in my neighborhood for you.
Oh my
From people
gosh.
I've never seen have political signs before. I was like, oh.
Yes.
I was like, I've never seen a sign. Like, I told you there was someone in my neighborhood who was like a veteran who I never see have any political signs, and he had your sign up.
Yes.
And I'm still waiting for the day for him to be outside so I can be like, hey, I know Diana too. But he hasn't came out yet. I haven't seen him in a minute. But January 13th is the swearing in for you. How are you feeling about that, since we're just a few days from that?
Oh, exciting. And I'm very excited. It's an exciting time. We'll be sworn in together at noon on that day, and then there'll be pictures with family. And so we're encouraging, we've been encouraged to let our, family and others know that if they want to be able to see it, they'll have to arrive very early, like 9 o'clock early. I mean, early, because it's first come, first serve.
And you said there's going to be a second room for people? Like,
there's going to be, they have another room that's going to be kind of overflow, and it'll be live streamed in that room. But then after all of that, then you can, have pictures made and, see everybody. But it's going to be a very busy a very busy ceremonial day, because it's the first day of the Arkansas's 95th Assembly. Yeah.
Okie dokie. Well, that's exciting. I think, we're getting so close to it. I mean, we're only just a few days away from that. And then from that point going on forward, like, your life is probably going to go even more faster than what it already is.
Yes.
Because you're also at the U of A, you do some work there at the U of A. And we were talking a little bit about your schedule, how you're going to have to adjust.
Yes.
So once starting, have you already thought about like a bill or two that you're interested in passing and authoring, and co-sponsoring, anything that you can share with people that you're planning to do, that you're wanting to do?
Sure. So my campaign was all about strong schools, strong families, and a strong Springdale. So the bills that I'm very interested in moving forward are going to do just that. What can we do to help make our schools stronger? And one is increasing the number of pre-K classrooms. So that's definitely going to be one, along with that's going to help working families, because now their 3 and 4 year olds will be able to go to pre-K. Right? We don't have enough classrooms. The other thing is offering more opportunities, enrichment opportunities for our kids to have after-school programs and summer programming. We have a lot of families that want to place their kids in after-school programs and summer programs because, they want them to be continuously learning new things, enriching things, but they cost money, and it's just too much. And if you have 3 or 4 kids, it's just not affordable. And so parents do the best that they can, but we need to look beyond that, So that is going to help students, but it's also going to help working families. So those are 2 things for sure. And then I'll be definitely co-sponsoring some of the bills that were introduced by our State Representative Andrew Collins, our Minority Speaker of the House. We talked about that in a press conference. And so it focuses on strong schools. It also focuses on mental health and
That's good.
democracy, and also maternal health, because Arkansas ranks at the bottom in maternal health, and there's a lot of things that we can do, to help advance that. So, so the things that I'm interested in are those things. What's going to help our families? What's going to help moms? What's going to help our kids? We want all of them to be to have those same opportunities so that we can produce that workforce, the next workforce, the future generation, our future leaders. And so that's looking at Arkansas, looking at it from the future, and the future is our kids, our children. So
one of the things that I thought was very interesting during your campaign is that, and you can tell me why you thought it was important to talk about this, you kept on mentioning like access to like dental care. Why was that important for you to be so vocal about that? What was the connection with that for you?
Because as I knock doors, part of what I'm doing in knocking doors is I want to know what's on people's minds. What are some things that they see are challenges that we need to think about and look at. And that came up several times. Dental care. Dental care came up. So when you don't have insurance, okay, then what ends up happening is that if you have a tooth that needs work, then without insurance, the only thing a dentist will do is extract it. Okay, so if you're having a tooth that's extracted, and let's say it's kind of near the front of your mouth, and you're 25 years old, and you're going to look for a job, there's a lot of repercussions in that, who's gonna, those the first glance, at a person, they come in with a missing tooth or teeth, and
People are judgmental.
That's right, even though they may not want to be, but they are, and so that happens naturally, and so we need to take care of the dental care, and
that's wild too, because it's kind of like. When they get extracted, sometimes there's other options if you have insurance, right, to be able to take care of that tooth. But then once it's extracted, like it's gone forever.
That's right. And then it's more work to try to do something about it later. I mean, it makes it even that much more difficult. The other thing too, which I've learned, is that since that time, is that the reimbursements that go to the dentists, from Medicaid, they haven't changed in probably 13 years. It's the same amount. With our cost of living, it's increased. Well, so have their expenses. Okay, and so we're kind of at a crossroads right now related to Medicaid care when it comes to dental care, because there's a lot of dentists that they just don't make enough to be able to get that reimbursement. It's not covering the cost, and so I think we're going to have a crisis on our hands if we don't. If we have a bunch of dentists, statewide that say, you know what, I can't serve people with Medicaid, because our reimbursement is just not high enough to cover the cost.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's an issue, and so so dental care came up, and even with people with dental insurance, the cost for them was still really, really high. And so it's costly. So what can we do? What can we do to help remedy that? So
what are some of the other things you heard when you were talking to people, when you're knocking on doors? Biggest issues, concerns, and stuff.
Well, definitely affordable health care. Overall, we have teacher shortages in certain areas. One that's humongous is special education. And so now you couple that with special education teachers who are also bilingual or multilingual. That's even less, okay? And so in districts like Springdale, but there's other districts across the state, they're facing the same thing. So we don't have enough special ed teachers. We don't have enough bilingual teachers or multilingual teachers to help so that students, we need that balance of kids matching the demographics of the teachers. And we already know from research that if teachers understand that cultural piece, that the background piece of students, then more than likely they're going to be able to connect with the students at a higher level and with their parents, and they'll have that really awesome parental engagement piece. It all kind of goes together, So we just need to do more work, in that area as well. So. And then I already mentioned the pre-K, and then I mentioned the after-school summer programming. Those are all very critical. Other things that have come up have been paying our paraprofessionals more money per hour because they make just so little. And we know that they make anywhere from $17,000 to $22,000 a year. Now, some may make a little bit more depending on how many years they've been paraprofessional. These are like teacher's assistants or that help the teacher. And so, to me as an educator, it doesn't make sense. The person that is helping your child, one-on-one, and maybe it is because that person's bilingual, okay, and they're helping, but that person makes $17,000 a year, to do that. And so let's look at maybe increasing that amount, and then also finding opportunities if that teacher's assistant wants to become a teacher, finding more opportunities to help increase our teachers, because we do have a teacher shortage in Arkansas, not only with specific content areas, but across the board.
Okay. Now for more lighter topics, I wanted to ask you, you're going to be driving a lot back and forth from Northwest Arkansas to Little Rock.
Yes.
That's like a 3-hour drive.
Yes.
What do you do in between? Like, what do you listen to? Do you listen to podcasts, or do you listen to music, or are you kind of the person that likes to call people when you're driving?
Well, I do a little of both. Yeah. Well, I am able to get some work done, on the phone, and so that helps because I've got 3 hours. I also like to listen to relaxing music. So, I'll put on Pandora. But then when I'm thinking about home, Vicente Fernandez comes on, so I'll listen to Vicente. I'll listen to, classical study music, and so I like to do that. But I think I will. My daughter is really trying to push me into listening to certain podcasts, my daughter Laura, and so she is. So I'm going to be getting a list of podcasts from her that she recommends for me to look into. So I think all of the above. Sometimes I just want to tune out, and not put anything on, but I do like listening. I like listening to music, and so. Yeah.
And that list of podcasts, of course, we're going to have the District 3 podcast on that list.
Yes, of course. District 3.
I know you'll be listening. For the people that are watching, make sure you subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Random topic, but I wanted to talk about this on camera. You told me your sister was a pro wrestler. And her name is Linda Gonzales?
Yes.
And you were like, she wrestled in Madison Square Garden for the WWF. And I was like, I believed you, but a little part of me was like, Cap, let me look it up. And then I saw it on YouTube. She was wrestling in Madison Square Garden.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about your sister?
Sure.
And like, she retired early, right?
Yes, she retired early due to an injury. Well, she had her collarbone broken. So that's that right there, just kind of ended her career. But my sister Linda she was an awesome athlete. She played basketball, volleyball. She ran track. And she was like athlete of the year, and in our high school, and just a really, really strong athlete. And so she went to we were all in band, so she ended up with a band scholarship at Blinn Junior College in Brenham, and wanted to get a degree in being an administrative assistant. However, she did go. However, she had this love of wrestling. And so my dad, we grew up with wrestling, so we saw.
What part of Texas are you from?
We're from Rockdale, Texas.
Okay.
Giddings and Rockdale, both of those are in central Texas, near Austin. Jose Lotario, Mil Máscaras, we were from that era. Okay. So that's who we watched on wrestling. And when wrestling came on, it was a family affair. Everyone was in the living room. But my dad and my sister Linda would wrestle on the floor. And so because she just loved it. And so even from a little girl, she loved it. So when she went to college, she did college, but she still had this, I want to be a wrestler. I
Oh, wow.
I really want to be a wrestler. And she was in the best shape of her life already anyway. And so my mom and dad, they researched. And so she trained. She went to, I think in South Carolina with the fabulous Moolah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she trained under her. She was one of her wrestlers.
Oh, that's even more impressive fact, because I know she was that trainer. She was really tough.
She was very tough.
Yeah.
And so, so she trained under her. And then she started, with her matches. They traveled. She was in Singapore, Malaysia.
Oh, wow.
They traveled all over the U.S. That's where she ended up doing a lot of her traveling. Was through that. And then she also did some fundraisers for our local hospital. And
She
so
wrestled?
she would cut to wrestle. So we had some
that's cool.
fundraisers that my mom organized, and that was so cool too. So it was just a wonderful time. Well, I got married. I was living in Lubbock, and I get this phone call, and it's my sister in the emergency room. She had just, they took her because she got hurt, and she was in a battle royal at Madison Square Garden with Wendy Richter, the fabulous
Another legend.
Moolah,
Probably Mae Young
Punk
as well.
and Dunk were Japanese, kind of short, stout Japanese wrestlers. Punk and Dunk. Anyway, she was tag teaming. She had a battle royal.
Just everybody versus everybody.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically that's what ended up happening. They lifted her up and
And she was like, "I'm done. I'm done after that."
Yeah,
because you can still come back from that injury, right? But
you can, but it was awful. And so after that, she just decided,
that's good though, because it's like kind of like she already has that peak moment. If you wrestle in Madison Square Garden, that's peak.
That's peak.
You can't really. And then like for the WW at the time it was WWF. Back
World
in like
Wrestling
was it the
Federation.
70s or 80s?
That was late. Early 80s.
Early 80s?
Yeah, in the 80s.
So that's peak. So it's
Yeah.
like I think she's like, I'm good, like if she doesn't want to come back.
Yeah. And she met Andre the Giant.
Oh, wow.
They could put hands. He says, my hand was just like this little compared to his. And she
that's
met
cool.
Hulk Hogan. She met, all of because they were all fighting for the WWF.
That was the time, the 80s.
That's right, the 80s. So.
And just one question that we ask all of our guests is, and I think we've asked you this before, about mental health. We
Yes.
like to ask our guests,
Yes.
what are you currently doing to take care of your mental health? And if you can please answer that for us.
Sure. I didn't mention mental health earlier, but that was part of the affordable.
mentioned it a little bit.
With the mental health. And so, yes. So for my mental health, I mainly focus on, spending time with my husband, sitting in our recliner, watching a movie, and just like zoning out just for quiet time. Otherwise, I'm the type that from the moment I get up until I can work. I have a very
I've seen
tendency.
You go full force.
I go full force, and Diana, have you taken a break? I don't have time for breaks. It's just working, and so that's me, how I work. And I need to focus on that too, So that, and then I love to walk. Okay, and then I do yoga.
Okay.
Probably not as often as I need to, but I do yoga at the Jones Center. And then I do like some of the group classes that that are fast paced for aerobic and that involve kicking and punching.
Okay.
So yeah.
I feel that. Well, thank you for mentioning that, and I'm just really excited for this tenure that you're going to have at the legislature, and just for you to be an example for other Latino kids in general. You can be Latino, or just immigrants in general that want to pursue a political office. Now they have an example of someone that has done it, and I know that you're the kind of person that will be there and advising people, and you're very approachable, where if someone has any questions, they can reach out to you.
Yes.
So just congratulations. And it's so well-deserved. You've put a lot of work. You've helped me when I ran for office as well. And you're one of the people that was really, really supporting me when I ran for office, someone that didn't really know how this worked. So I appreciate you always supporting, and just not only me, but other people in the community.
Thank
so
you.
This is well-deserved.
Thank
and I'm
you
just
so much.
excited to see what you do. And I know that you're very open where we can reach out to you in case we have any suggestions
Yes.
of any kind
Yes.
of bills or any way that we want you to like advocate for us.
Yes.
And you're my state rep. So like
That's right.
I'm blessed to
That's
say
right.
that I have a Latina state rep. Not many people can say that
Thank
in
you.
Arkansas, you know? So
Yes.
for me, it's a flex. But thank you once again for being on this D3 Mini with us. We're excited about January 13th and just excited to see everything you do. But thank you for making the time.
Thank you so much for this time, Irvin, and I look forward to it. And yes, you know that you can count on me. I'm your state rep.
I know.
Okay.
You live like 5 minutes away, so
Yes, right.
you can't hide from me. But for everybody watching, this was another episode of D3 Minis. My name is Irvin. Our guest today was the first Latina state rep in Arkansas history, Diana Gonzales Worthen. We'll catch you all next time. Thank you.